Hello and welcome to the Driving Maul Show. Hi, I'm Paul. I'll be your host this week. And don't worry, you don't have to just listen to me this week because, as Bruce says, he's waiting for Flake. And don't worry, he has not been flaky this week and disappeared off. He has turned up. Here is Cornflake. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing well. Yeah, the fanfare is back. The thousands and millions of Flake fans are back, ready to go for another week. No, good to be back. Thanks for having me again.
I'll see Bruce. And so, folks, you can join us at 8 p.m. on Mondays on YouTube, on both Cornflakes and my channels over there. So, and also you can join us on Facebook as well, or you can listen to the podcast. To search for New Zealand Sport Radio on Spotify, and you probably won't find us because even with our own name, we are so lowly ranked they don't show it. So do search for Driving Maul, and you'll find the show that way. Yes, we did have the other week where sort of like I on Spotify. I'm pretty sure I am. I searched for us, I couldn't find us, and then eventually searched for the actual show title and found us. So we do exist on Spotify. Just they are hateful, horrible beings who don't like us. Nocturnal Right says that Johnny Sexton is a real. I've got no idea what the Johnny Sexton news is, to be honest with you. So
Rieko Ioane said mean things to him in his final Test match. Oh no! How will he survive?
Oh dearie me!
I mean, in a high octane sort of semi-final of a World Cup, and that there wasn't many games that were that intense, right?
Quarterfinal.
The quarterfinal, sorry, Ireland semi-finals they don't go in the same sentence. In a high octane sort of match like that, I can understand why there'd be some heated words. Yeah, it was his last game, but that wasn't what that match was all about. And Rico's a bit of a hothead, isn't he?
Really? Wow. Because I mean, him and Akira used to spend more time fighting in for Auckland than they did actually for the Blues. They did playing at one point. I mean, yeah, he loves to get involved in the old aggro, doesn't he? And the off the ball stuff. For a back, he is probably one of the most Dane Coles like people out of the backs. I think is old Rico.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of Rieko Ioane, and since we're going to segue perfectly into news, he is one of the top 3, according to TJ Perenara, likely people to lead the haka in future since Perenara is leaving the All Blacks. So imagine that. Rieko Ioane, Cody Taylor's number 1, Ioane number 2. Take a guess. Out of the All Blacks squad, who would be number 3, do you think? Because this one, it makes sense, but I wouldn't have thought it at first. Oh, got him. No, that's a good guess, actually. Proctor.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Completely random news. See, don't say I don't bring anything to the show.
Yeah. I would what else to say? I guess my only thing about Proctor doing it isn't it supposed to be kind of I mean, look, I'm no Maori cultural expert, so if I'm just stabbing in the dark here, but I would thought it would be expected to be led by someone of kind of importance and stature, and nothing against Proctor, but he's a young player, and so hence that's why I wouldn't have gone with. So I'd have thought he'd probably have to sort of age or earn a bit more mana before he was allowed to lead it. That'd be my only thought.
The reasoning for that was given his standing within the cultural aspect of not really so much the All Blacks, but especially with Wellington. Whenever Wellington has done a haka, he's always led it, and his time he's spent with the Māori All Blacks as well. So culturally, and as you say, the mana of the man is held in quite high respect in that regard. So that's why he's put up there. I thought it was interesting. Makes sense. He's kind of like a Sean Wainui sort of guy, one of those guys that, good rugby player, but his cultural ability or his mana to the team was something that was held in a lot higher regard than actually probably his playing abilities.
The Nocturnal Rights never like to play a leading the haka, then sitting down for the first whistle.
Yeah.
I kind of get that as well on that one. The interesting that they've moved away from the triangular formation with the captain at the point of the triangle as well. I don't know if we'll see that one coming back or not, but just something that I noticed. or thought about at the weekend. Generally, I watch kind of highlights and skip over the the pre-game rituals, to be honest, which is why I'm kind of probably not up to on about when kind of exactly which hack has been used, but yeah, kind of noticed that on the weekend because I was around a mate's house watching it. Don't worry, folks, I was on the Fill Your Boots, which is the 0% alcohol beers, because I was driving afterwards. And got to say, I was not. I was surprised by how good it tastes. To be honest, having kind of your Heineken Zeros and stuff, which, dear me, will not touch that stuff again. But yeah, the Fill Your Boots tasted pretty good. So there you go. Recommendation there for your 0% alcohol beers if you're driving. Fill Your Boots.
And you can find all the links for sponsorships down underneath the video.
Yeah, if we were sponsored, I'd be very happy. But no, this is a totally authentic recommendation because we're not sponsored by them. On that one. But some other stuff happening in the news. We've had the fixtures announced for Super Rugby next year, and loving the explanation they're having to put onto all of this stuff. Why not just give top two teams a bye in the first week of the final series? Fans have told us they want more rugby, not less. The format rewards teams who have ranked high across the season. The lucky loser component creates a more intense competition for every position on the ladder as the final series approaches. Rubbish. What absolute horseshit. No, basically Sky TV said we need more games on that one. And if you have to go through this kind of explanation, then you realize you've got the wrong format. So if the lucky loser wins, lucky loser was one, which then won its semi-final, it could still host the grand final. And they have to go through a 3-step bullet point process to explain who would host the grand final if the number one ranked team didn't lost their first game. So yes, look, if you have to have a 3-point bullet point to explain who's going to host the final, you've got your format wrong, folks. Is all I can say on that one. Pre-show, you mentioned you hadn't even realised that the fixtures were out. They came out today. The Moana Pacifica will play Chiefs in Tonga in their home game, but currently, and their home will be next year, the North Harbour Stadium or Albany Stadium. There, the one that has been lovingly transformed into a baseball stadium, only for the baseball team to go bust and not exist anymore as soon as they finished it. So it's not even like a rugby stadium anymore. But don't worry, Super Rugby or particularly Moana Pacifica crowds aren't big enough to fill the main stand anyway. So who cares about what's going on the other side of the pitch? But currently they're not playing in Samoa, which I think is disgraceful. I think they should have at least one game in Samoa and at least one game in Tonga. And the long-term goal should be to relocate to one of those two places, just like Fiji. And look how successful it's been for Fiji. And I'll hand over to Steve because the podcasters can't see you nodding so much.
I'm just agreeing. You're preaching to the choir. Please go on ranting and raving. I've been saying that all season. Didn't I say that all last season? I said this is ridiculous. Playing at Eden Park, stupid, idiotic clowns. I called them lots of names, but yeah, I couldn't agree more. But that's what the team is. That's their that's their pull center, isn't it? Of that sort of player and that sort of culture, and that they should be there. They should be there. It's only half the games, if that. So yeah, it should happen. Yeah. Now look, at least all their home games in Auckland are in the same stadium. They're not spread over 3 different stadiums where you have to kind of figure out where the hell am I going for each game. You should have a home ground, and they do at least have a home ground now. Even if it is a baseball stadium. The Blues will play all their home games at Eden Park. So sod you Northland, you're not really part of the Blues region. The Chiefs do have one game where they've not announced yet where it's going to be. So Rotorua or New Plymouth or those places may get a game. The Crusaders are all in the same place. I didn't actually check the
the Hurricanes, see where all their home games are.
What about the Highlanders? They could be playing here.
I am going to get on for Highlanders. The Highlanders also don't give two hoots about Southland, because all their games are going to be in
stuff off. Highlanders, go away.
I was going to say Dublin, in Dunedin. Sorry, because still begins with a D. On that one, and having a quick look at the Hurricanes games. Come on, where are you? Where are they? They don't even say where all the games are going to be. Jeez, everyone else actually says where they are. They just say with the home and away. I assume they're
pretty much all franchises, bar possibly one Chiefs game, are going to be just played at normal, full stadium. They're not taking any games.
Well, I wouldn't say full stadium.
No, as in they're big stadium, as in full, as in
main stadium. Yeah,
main stadium. That's the word. Yeah, that's my point. They're going to be empty. They're going. What do I think is going to change in the next 6 months till that starts? Nothing. Is rugby going to get more popular in that 6 months? No. Is it going to get less popular? Possibly.
So yes. So I do think that all of the the Hurricanes one. Super Rugby fans get excited. The 2025 Super Rugby Pacific draw has been announced with 7 home games in the pipeline, including a whopping 4 home derbies. A whopping 4 home derbies. Oh dear.
Get excited.
Yes, there we go. We've gone and got ourselves in the social media intern who's halfway through his degree. Let's get him to word it properly. So look, the underwhelmed as usual, because look, they're not reaching out to the regions, they're not reaching out to the people. I say the Blues should play at least one game up in Whangarei. The Chiefs should play one game either, and they should alternate it probably between New Plymouth and Rotorua. I think you could say Pocono Stadium, but hey, much as I love Pocono Stadium, it's not really a Super Rugby venue unless it's more on Pacifica. Wellington, again, going out to Hawke's Bay doesn't look like this year. To be fair to the Crusaders, there isn't really a stadium in Nelson or Marlborough big enough that's really so.
Nelson held World Cup games. Why can't they hold a Super Rugby game?
They've hosted the All Blacks once, and the Black Ferns. Well, they were supposed to be hosting Black Ferns in England. I don't know if it actually happened or not. But when they did host the All Blacks, they put up a whole bunch of temporary seating. Basically, they built a temporary ground. And look, the Highlanders not playing a game down in Invercargill is a joke as well. I thought their games that they played in Queenstown also are kind of popular, so I'm surprised they don't take one there.
Well, you're talking about Nelson building a stadium. Queenstown just has grass terraces. So,
well, there we go.
We're going to cricket stadiums now.
At least baseball stadiums are closer on one side. Cricket grounds are nowhere near the ground anywhere.
If you can take a picnic basket and a little blanket and you can get out there on the grass, and it'll probably be freezing cold and -2 at night. What better way to watch rugby?
Oh, and also it's starting a week earlier because fans are crying out for more rugby. So hence there's an extra round of rugby.
So what's the date of round 1? What's the date?
February the 11th, I think it was.
Oh my God, February the 11th. That is insane. Well, no, just go back and start it like after week of New Year's. That'll be a great way. New Year's, opening round of Super Rugby.
Sorry, February 14th. I'm lying there. So just corrections corner.
Close enough.
I do find it also amusing that in the Q&A, what is the format of Super Rugby Pacific? 11 teams across 16 rounds, followed by 3 weeks, three-week final seasons, and then they have to list the teams, so people don't know because. So wait, hang on, who's in Super Rugby nowadays?
When are the Rebels playing? Oh shit.
So yes. Maybe the size of locked-in stadiums as anchor tenants. That's probably true. Look, there are a whole bunch of financials. That doesn't mean they shouldn't sign up for those financials in the first place. So if they've signed up for that commercial agreement, that's their own fault in not attracting fans. That to me, that's not an excuse for not going to other places. Combine rugby and cricket, and you get ticket or ricket, or you get AFL. Aussie rules. That's as well. So yes, that's what's going on from that point of view. Obviously, we'll be following Super Rugby, and as much as we laugh and joke about it, we'll enjoy watching it as well. But that's because we like the stuff that's happening on the pitch. It's the stuff off the pitch that we think is crap on the whole. So moving on then to on the pitch action in the NPC. Now Steve has given up on the NPC after Manawatu thumped Southland. And he took last week off. He claims it was his birthday, but to me, it was just because he wanted to talk about that game on that one. How you call that? That's a cheap shot on us Melbourne Rebels fans. No, I think it's more a shot on the administrators rather than the fans, to be honest with you, Bruce. Even though I'm not sure, can you have fans for a team that doesn't exist? There we go. What is Global Rapid Rugby? So Global Rapid Rugby out of Melbourne, and then hey presto, you'll get invited back when there's next COVID.
So it's not even worth joking about that. God.
Sorry,
that's not even worth joking about that. It's COVID, who knows? Monkeypox.
So midweek game last week was Taranaki against North Harbour. Taranaki made hard work of this, winning 31-25. To me, Taranaki top of the table or second in the table at the moment on points difference. So that one I thought would be a much more comfortable win than that against North Harbour. But when you hear about North Harbour's exploits later on, you'll understand perhaps North Harbour are playing better than I'm giving them credit for. We kicked off the weekend though on Friday with I'd say it was upset of the round until we got to later games, but Counties Manukau 51, top of the table Wellington 12. Remember, this Counties Manukau were part of the Counties, Auckland, North Harbour, and Northland that couldn't win for the first 3 or 4 rounds of the tournament. To thump Wellington like that is an impressive one from that. Edmed, I think you mentioned doing a star turn in that game.
Yeah, he's really shown how good he is, isn't he? He's saw highlights of a brilliant try that he started off from pretty much his own line. Team went 100 meters pretty much end to end. But he's shown his capabilities. I think he's really doing himself, certainly helping out his career possibilities of going to higher honours later on down the track if he gets a chance. So it's good on him to keep fit and keep in the action. And he's thrown a few heads. I think a lot of people would like him to stay around. I think I'll decide to ditch and maybe sign up for a Super Rugby team. Could do with a nice little running 10 like that somewhere that actually goes forward. Hey, Ginger or not,
you should play for the Chiefs.
Yeah, sign him up.
Moving then on to Bay of Plenty, beat Northland as expected, 53-13. There's some very big scores this weekend, by the way. Hawke's Bay Auckland was a cracker. Now, the predictor had it 65% to Hawke's Bay, 31 to Auckland, but this came out 36-35. So it was Hawke's Bay have look after they losing the and they had to come back as well. 10 minutes to go, it was 22-35. The game was won. Auckland was heading home with the win. 2 tries in the last, one on 78 minutes and then one on 80 minutes plus 3, 83 minutes after the hooter. So, wow. Hawke's Bay really not giving up there. And their first win, I think it is, since they lost the Shield, which is big for them. Otago then saw off Tasman, which, again, a bit of surprise. Tasman third in the table, Otago down in 10th after this weekend, 47-31. So another upset there. Again, the rugby forecast had Tasman as 69% favourites. The North Harbour against Canterbury, 65-19. So another massive upset in that one. They said this one was going either way. Actually, they had North Harbour at 40%, Canterbury at 58%. So Canterbury not going so great this year, but North Harbour again, part of that Auckland group who really started the season off badly. Bruce wants to hear about the Stags. Steve does not want to talk about the Stags as they lost to Waikato at home at 14-38. That one was predicted. And the Naki, again, making hard work of this one against Manawatu. 96% favourites on the old predictor, winning it 33-31 by 2 points. So yes, that one. And there was a try on 71 minutes with a missed conversion that would have evened the game up in the last 10 minutes. So boy, oh boy, that one was a lot closer than everyone's expecting from Manawatu. So hey, they've actually put in a couple of decent performances after being absolutely thumped early on in the season. So a couple of teams, a few teams then have started to turn things around, which is good to see in this one. One more round to go before we hit the finals. The midweek game is the Ranfurly Shield game on Wednesday night. So Tasman versus Auckland at 7:05 kickoff for that one. Tasman third in the table, Auckland down in 11th. That should be an easy defence. But after last weekend...
I don't know. I mean, as long as Auckland don't win, that's all I really care about. That's the problem to me. It's like, it's not. It's teams have shown enough ability, regardless of their place on the table, that they can pick up wins if it's their day. And we've seen those Shield teams can be pretty hot and cold, as we've seen through Hawke's Bay and look, this weekend, 1 week on from their big first ever defence, and they go and have a bit of a drop-off performance. So hopefully they've picked it up and they've saved this one up for Wednesday night, because I hope I'm going to watch it and hope they can do it. I'll be absolutely gutted if they don't. Guttily. I was going to say I'll be bitterly gutted if they don't pick that one up, but we've just made a new word. So down for Auckland. That's all I can say. Last thing I want to see is a Shield in Auckland. No, please no.
Well,
anywhere.
Then into... and then we've got the final weekend of games. So we've got one more round of games. Say Northland Otago kick things off on Friday night. Two sides that I don't think will be troubling the finals. Manawatu host Counties Manukau. So they'll be looking to get their second win of the season. But Counties are on the edge of the playoffs, so they'll be looking for that. Southland North Harbour. Again, Harbour. Southland wanting to get the season over with as quickly as possible. Wellington Hawke's Bay. That should be first versus fifth. That should be a cracker. Again, that's definitely finals relevant. Canterbury Waikato, 6th and 7th in the table. So again, another that's a big one. And then Sunday, if Tasman win midweek, they will have to defend the Shield again against Taranaki. Which will be a cracking game, 2nd versus 3rd in the table. If Auckland win midweek, they will have to defend the Shield against Bay of Plenty, who are 4th in the table. So either way, we will have a Shield defence next Sunday. And both of them look like cracking games as well to finish the regular season off on that one. Turner writes, saying Otago could finish on 26 points. 5 out of 10 wins is a possibility. Yes, it is. Yep, a 50% season. At the moment, they're behind North Harbour, who have got one less win than them, because bonus points not very good for North Harbour at the moment. Sorry, for Otago at the moment with just 5. North Harbour, on the other hand, 11 bonus points puts them top of the table on the bonus points table. They're the only team with double points, bonus points in that one. See, that's what this it should be a bonus points table. None of this winning and losing business. Who cares?
That's a good effort, that just shows that North Harbour, regardless of result, are either putting points up or, in the matches they are losing, 6 losses, pick up 11 bonus points from 9 games. That's a damn good effort.
It is. And the way they've done it is because even though they're sat 9th in the table, they have scored the most points of any team. They've scored more points than every other team. The defence, that's a bit questionable. But attack, they have with 45 tries, they have Plenty have scored more tries, but they've actually scored more points. So obviously, they kick better than Bay of Plenty. So yes, on that one. Now, folks, for those who are a bit worried about me because of Fill My Boots early on, I am actually on the Max Black Mac. So don't worry for today. That's the can being cracked open just there for those of you on the podcast. So let's get on to the Rugby Championship at the weekend. The first game really wasn't going to trouble who took the trophy home. Now, one of the things I said last week was, in the Six Nations, people actually care about where they finish, even if it's not coming first. In the Rugby Championship, for my mind, you either win it or you don't. And if you come second or third, do you really care? I mean, is that fair, or is that just a European view of the Rugby Championship, do you think?
No, I think that's a pretty fair comment. I agree with you. Yeah, no, I think Argentina probably care. And I think the Wallabies probably care a little bit more because they're not, they are last and they are getting toppled by the Pumas, who have hit, great season from the Pumas this year. But yeah, I think for the All Blacks, once it went through that South Africa tour, knew they weren't going to win the competition. It was more of a indication of results as opposed to on the field, one game at a time sort of results, rather than results on the table. Sure, they managed to jump up and get into that second spot via the friendly South Africans, but I don't think that really doesn't matter. No, Australia will be a bit peeved, I think, and I think Argentina will be quite happy. But yeah, it's win or lose, and that's definitely the case.
Yeah, so the game between the All Blacks and Australia. Look, the Bledisloe Cup was decided. It wasn't going to decide who won the tournament, so it really was a bit of a dead rubber, and really was for bragging rights. For the All Blacks, it was a matter of can we actually score a point in the last quarter, and can we actually not lose in Wellington for the first time in quite a long time. And for the Wallabies, it was like, geez, it would be nice to win more than one game. So for them, yes, it was a big. So it was all about the game here. It wasn't about the table, is what I was trying to say. But your quick comment there about the Pumas having a good season. Even coming into this weekend, the Pumas, for the first time ever, had beaten all three other teams in the Rugby Championship. So yeah, as you're right, cracking tournament for the Los Pumas. Wherever they finished on the table didn't really matter, and at least they also had a chance of winning the whole thing, even if it was a slim chance at that. So going into the All Blacks versus the Wallabies, and boy, the Wallabies came out playing really well. The only problem for them was they couldn't score points, but they dominated the first half as far as possession, territory, as far as everything really, except for getting over the whitewash, which was a problem for them. The All Blacks, on the other hand, weren't playing great, but they had a couple of players who were doing magic things that were getting great results. And so you had players who would get a turnover, you get Satiti to make a break, and the ball would suddenly end up in Will Jordan's hands. And thank you, Will Jordan, for that, because the $2 at the TAB went down very well on Will Jordan to score a try. Basically the points in that first half, from my mind, were from moments of individual brilliance rather than the All Blacks playing well, in my opinion.
How much was Will Jordan paying to score that try?
Only $1.40 odd. It wasn't very much.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, that first half really, the Wallabies, especially that first 20 minutes or 15, 20 minutes or so, they looked really good. I mean, take aside the fact that they failed to score points, which obviously was the ultimate low of it, but the way that they played, I think should fill them with a bit of confidence that they actually got a little bit out of their back line. I think for the first time in this actual competition, where their forwards have looked satisfactory, they've looked okay, they've competed, and at times they've actually looked like they've got the upper hand over other teams. But I feel it's their back line where a lot of names and a lot of players that you've expected a lot from just haven't been up to the task. But I feel that opening quarter of the game, they looked good, and they looked like they were making inroads in defence. They were hitting good lines, they had good shape, and they looked like they were a little bit competent. But big thing for me in that opening half was just possession. it tells so much. If you starve the All Blacks of the ball, remember the All Blacks were used to be a thing that they didn't need the ball to score points. This All Blacks team does need points, does need the ball to score points. And, that first 20 minutes, they saw no chance. They hardly visited the Wallabies half, let alone into their 22. So it was a good start for the Wallabies. Just like I say, needed those points. Moments of brilliance and just opportunistic, just freakish things. One little moment, and that's typical All Blacks, isn't it? And that's what they do. But boy, the Wallabies, I feel like they should feel at half time going into that break. They should have been bitterly disappointed with how well, especially they played in that first 20 or so minutes, and not to come away with much, really, to be matched and to be not have any sort of lead or going their way at halftime would have been bitterly disappointing for them.
Yeah, especially at the Hooter, they were leading 12-13. And then Caleb Clark did his thing. Look, all three tries were from the back three. Caleb Clark, Sevu Reece, Will Jordan. It's turnovers and then an individual brilliance by those guys, spotting a lower number in front of them, and off they went. Talking of lower numbers in front of them, Sam Cane had been playing really well, but as Nocturnal Right says, that the Wallabies were finding gaps in midfield. Yep, that gap was actually an agile outside back up against a number 7 in that midfield and stepping around him. That's where the gaps kind of came from in that point. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Sam Cane has played very well, much better than I expected him to in this tournament. Whether he should have been selected for the All Blacks or not, I don't think he should have been, but that's a different matter entirely. But as far as actually performing once he's been on the pitch, he's done very well. So this isn't a go at him in general. This is just a specific thing that he got caught out of in that situation. Come the second half then, Tamati Williams gets a try. Caleb Clark gets his second one. The Wallabies just again run out of steam, run out of kind of ideas to break down the All Blacks. Can't get points on the board. Have opportunities, but can't or have the territory to do it occasionally. But definitely not to the same extent as they did in the first half, and ran out of steam. Caleb Clark's late yellow card, he looked bewildered. I don't know why. Professional foul, mate. You're offside. Coming back, there's stopping an overlap. It was quite clear to me for a yellow card. Luckily for him, he's got 2 tries and his top try scorer in the tournament. So he's not going to get dropped in the same way that Sevu Reece was for a bad back against Argentina, which to me seemed a bit harsh to see him dropped in the next game. So I think Caleb Clark will get away with that from a selection point of view. But yeah, then the All Blacks managed to see it out, and a try on 65 minutes means they did actually score a try in the final quarter, only just into the final quarter. I mean, not into the last 10 minutes, as Nocturnal Rights pointed out, but still, look, they shut the Wallabies out in that second half, and they'll be happy with that, I think.
Yeah, they should be happy with that. Yeah, they played a good controlled second half. They played a lot better game in their own sort of style, but they had a lot more to play with as well. And I think the Wallabies kind of dropped a bit. I think, it's that old thing like talk about the NPC with some teams just hoping that they can get to the end of the season without being, smoked for the last time or two. I think the Wallabies were in a bit of that case. They gave it a good nudge. They had good chances. They didn't convert. I think the head started to drop a little bit, and they just wandered their way to the end of the game. To the credit of the Wallabies, I guess they did stop the All Blacks from really putting on a massive big scoreline. Again, like I say, 20 minutes, their last 20 minutes is still causing to be a problem for them. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. But yeah, game was relatively in the bag. They didn't have to work too hard at the end. They didn't have to close down a narrow lead and hang on for those last few minutes at the end. So in that regard, yeah, the All Blacks should be happy. They did enough. Wallabies, yeah, pack looks good. I just don't know where they go with that backline. It just, for all the names and all the star power that they have there, they just don't seem to be able to convert, and they don't have that X factor. That's what's really missing. I think, like you pointed out at the start, right? Those All Blacks tries were X factor. They were just moments of brilliance. You don't even see line breaks of moments of brilliance from a lot of those Wallabies backs. You see well-constructed sort of plays. I think they had collectively their backline, that first 20 minutes was probably the best I've seen them play collectively, and that was what got them the inroads. But the moments of someone doing something outstanding have been near on, just invisible. They've been nowhere at all. So a bit of a shame, a real bit of a shame. I thought the Wallabies showed a little bit of saying they might have made that an exciting matchup, but for the All Blacks, job done, got the reward, got rid of the Wellington win under the belt. So yeah, they'll be pretty happy with it. But yeah, a lot of work for old Schmidt to do. And what's up with Tupou? Is that guy ever not injured, or is he always 100% injured? 4 minutes, was it 4 minutes or a minute and a half into that game, and he got that knock that he lasted till halftime? I mean, I don't know, man. The Wallabies, there's a lot to go under that bridge.
There's nothing. Then a different injury.
They've got now though. What have they got now until the end of your tour? Like, how can he look at players, or how can he? I don't know. There's just nothing, and that's where I think domestic game of Australia suffers at this point, because just what can he select differently to take out to the Northern Hemisphere now?
Yeah, and you're talking about the lack of an NPC or Curry Cup equivalent means that he's got nothing. There is no way of, apart from training, of looking at players. Talking about those clean breaks, then look, Jesse Creel leads clean breaks on 8 for the tournament. Then you go Jordan, Aronsa, Clark, Colby, Fassi, Carreras, Cocaberes, Ovidero, Callaway. There's a lot of names before I get to Callaway. And Callaway's there with 4, Jesse Creel's there with 8. Right, so it's a long way down. There's a lot of names there before you get to Callaway there on clean break. So yes, there definitely is a problem at the backs, because we noticed just about all those names, I think, are backs, aren't they? Yeah, they're all backs.
Oviedo's not, but yeah.
Oviedo, sorry. Nearly. But clean breaks is a backs thing, and that's just they're having a problem there with the Wallabies. And
you see Callaway too. His style of play isn't like a Will Jordan. He just can give him the ball in his pace and his acceleration. Is what can spark. Callaway's a right place, right time sort of guy. So he needs someone to do that hard work and to take out 2 defenders to open up an overlap. And he's the guy that's on the spot. That's what made him so dangerous when he had his midfielders blockbusting through holes and sucking in 3-4 guys to take them down. And then he had that space, or his ability to, like a McKenzie would be if he played at fullback, where he can pick his spot. That's what Callaway's really good at, to pick his spot in lines and to create overlaps with his number for the extra man. If he's not getting that support, and he's not the sort of guy that's generally going to one-on-one beat someone with a step or pace or things like that. He's just going to do the basics, and he's going to be in the right place at the right time. Opportunistic sort of player.
Is what you call a rugby clever player. He's a clever player rather than the past. Yeah. I've just got an email from New Zealand Rugby. All Blacks dominant in Wellington Bledisloe. They clearly weren't watching the first half, were they?
I do agree. Like Nocturnal says that the Davies shouldn't get carried away. They played well at times, but not others. I agree.
I've got a doozy of a question for you around the All Blacks and how you think they're going. So we'll put a cap on that for now.
Yep.
So we'll wrap that one up and move on then to the Springboks versus the Pumas. Look, the Pumas won last week, won the previous weekend, and against, admittedly, not a first choice Springbok team. A number of Springboks came back, including Seya Khaleesi, their captain. And boy, oh boy, did the world champions have a point to prove. The first, because they to come back from their first loss in this tournament, potentially going to lose the tournament to to Argentina if they got it wrong. And they were like, yeah, we're not getting this wrong. 2 early tries put them up. There was a brief moment of, maybe this will be a little bit of a game when the Pumas came back and scored themselves. So that opening 20 minutes had 3 tries in it and was fast paced action. But unfortunately, the Pumas pack was already on roller skates, and whilst the overall competition stats say that the South Africans have got the worst scrum in the competition with a 79% win weight, boy, oh boy, if you watch this game, you would not think that at all. Sometimes stats don't tell you the full story. By the way, yeah, New Zealand 91% with their scrum, Argentina 87, same with Australia, and then 79 with South Africa apparently for the tournament. But yes, in this game, the South African scrum was absolutely dominant and was just basically a penalty machine for them. So then, yeah, a yellow card, unfortunately for the Pumas, really kind of set the slide in. 2 more tries before half time meant that it was 27-7. And let's be honest, nobody really saw anything other than a win here for the Springboks. By then, they held out the Springboks the first quarter, but a red card from Otera, followed by a yellow card not long afterwards for Carrera, and suddenly they're down to 13 men, and 3 late tries meant that the score kind of ballooned out to 84-7. Sorry, 48, not 84. Geez, that would have been amazing. 48 to 7 on that one. Your thoughts on the game?
Argentina went into this round of the competition with the best defense in terms of discipline, in terms of cards. I'm pretty sure they had none. And it's like,
no
wow,
cards.
What's happened? Argentina, Lavanini, no yellow cards in the whole tournament. Well, they clearly have just saved them all up for the final game, just to go and just blow all of their cards out in one foul sweep. But they were shockers too. That the first one, just taking the guy out so high in the air, that was a shocker. I mean, that could have arguably been worse.
I was going to say that would have been red a few years back.
Yeah, and then the fact that you see the one that was actually a red card, Matera just flying in from nowhere to shoulder charge a guy in the head at a ruck. Yeah, the last one of just being an intentional knock on was probably the one you go, why do you bother? It's done. It's game over at the stage. But yeah, ill discipline cost them big time. Their forwards got squashed. And like the Springboks just look good. Afaleta Fussy had an increasingly better and better tournament as it's gone on. He looks really, really good, especially attacking. He is an absolute superstar when it comes to just that ability at pace, just his footwork. If you speak about footwork, that sidestep from Chisholm Colby just makes you melt. He's insane. So yeah, it's a complete little package. Some great tries. And yeah, Pumas, yeah, backing up is tough, but yeah, I feel like they went into that game, job done. Yeah, we could win this competition, but I don't know. Mentally, how much of them were like, I think we've done enough here. Can we go to South Africa and topple them twice in a row? I feel like the belief might have been waning by that stage. I think they've done really well to do what they've done. A win against all 3 of the opposition teams' Rugby Championship is a fantastic result. To be in the conversation with South Africa, not with New Zealand, not with Australia. A fantastic season for them. But yeah, just really completely threw it all out the window there. Poor discipline. It just got pumped. Everything was going the way of the South Africans. Record-breaking game for Etzer Beth as well, or equaling game. So yeah, it was all a big festival for them as well. So yeah, I don't think anyone was beating them on that day.
No. Look, your players, I mean, Fassi, as you say, has really grown, and we can see he's going to be in that jersey for a long time to come. Willie LaRue, yep. Thank you very much, mate. You've been good, but goodbye. I think Colby, Aaron's kind of in that pack we kind of all knew about. Lebock has played well, but it was kind of telling that Hendricks was doing the kicking, the place kicking in this game, so that is an area they used to do. But I think Creel really has, 30-year-old Mukaunia Am was, for a lot of people, was considered the best 13 in the world, and now he can't get into the side because Creel is playing so well. So Creel's the one that to me has kind of also been a big surprise in this game, in this season, as to how he's stepped up his game, and I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people pointed a lot of fingers at Marnie Lebock last week after missing that kick to potentially win that game. But you watch that game without that pressure of the kicking. His ball carrying and his decision making, I think, was really good in that last game. You saw a lot of situations where the Argentinian defense shot out of line. I think one of the last second half tries where they shot out and he checked his pass, had a second goal, but took it a few extra steps and played a really difficult, flat, low, but very quick and hard pass. I can't remember who was outside him on that occasion, but just the pass was just brilliant. I thought, that's attacking with ball in hand sort of skill. Libbok is pretty classy. It's a shame, he gets judged and abused and whatever for his goal kicking, but ball in hand, man, he is quite a talent.
Oh, totally. Yeah, the thing is, they've got to find a person who can kick. So Fassi, in the off season, your job is to go away and just kick you.
Those nines. It'll be one of those nines. Hendrickser or someone like that. Has to be.
Yeah. So then, let's go back to the All Blacks. So far then, as a kind of state of the nation for the All Blacks, are you of the opinion that Razor took on a team that was struggling, has got a series win over the team that came third at the Rugby World Cup, went close to beating the world champions and has come second in the Rugby Championship. So everything's heading in the right direction, and things are good. Or are you kind of the opinion that that the All Blacks, the team he took on, came within 1 point of winning the Rugby World Cup? So it was a decent team he took on that struggled to beat a poor England that should never have made the quarter semi-finals. That was all purely luck of the draw anyway. Lost to Argentina at home, with conceding a record amount of points, didn't get really, and then has lost and looked with the questionable select or unclear selections, as he doesn't seem to know his best team, so things actually are in a dire state. We're not sure where we're going, and we're a bit rudderless. So is it where he's got things in it, we're heading in the right direction, or actually, look, he's taken on something that's pretty decent, and actually it's a bit rudderless, we're not sure where we're going, and at some point Wayne Smith isn't going to be young enough to bring in to save things?
I don't think it's quite as contrasting flip sides of either, for my opinions. I don't know. It's not all good and heading the right direction at all. I think Robinson's taken on this team and he's come into the season wanting to use as much of the experience from last year as he can to try and bring this team through this year without too much damage going on. Has that worked? No. I think the players he's brought in from last year to help in experience and to keep those players coming through and to try and help the team stay at a good level have failed him. I think a lot of those older guys haven't played up to the standard or the level they should. I think the players that have really boosted this team are the young guys. I kind of feel like Robinson's come into this team and he hasn't wanted to go full on, be like, this is my team and I'm doing all this myself, and make big wholesale changes. So I think he's kind of reeled it in a bit and gone, okay, I'll make a few subtle changes here, but I'll keep all these guys that you all know and are familiar with and feel like those guys are the All Blacks, your Pedinaros, your Canes and the likes, who really, you'd argue, probably shouldn't be near that team, and brought them through to just keep everyone a little bit happy and go, oh, he's only made, a few players, 4 or 5 guys coming into the squad. And I think that's just been a bit cautious on his behalf. Maybe later at the end of the year, we'll see a bit more of him taking full control of, hopefully, being like, okay, I want to just get rid of all these guys now and move on to my direction. So I feel he's been a bit cautious. I think his experienced guys that he's hung on to try and keep the team up at the good level have not performed as we probably have expected them to. I think there's a bit of direction there. I think he knows where he wants to go. I think he's just trying to avoid massive backlash from probably his employers as well as fan base to make too many wholesale changes, because if then that doesn't work, the knives in the back will be even deeper, because it'll be like, wow, you've done all this and got rid of all these guys, and now look at us. So yeah, he's probably been a bit cautious. I don't think it's fully rudderless, because I feel like he's got a plan deep down that he's probably going to take 2 years to fully implement, at least, before we'll see the full Scott Robertson effect on this team.
In Razor we trust is the kind of seems to be the kind of mantra there.
Who else? Who else?
Well, there is that. Yeah, okay, there is
Danny
that.
Joseph.
Well, the guy they should have appointed is across the ditch doing it for the Wallabies instead. Joe Schmidt, possibly. Anyway, Nocturnal Right says Robertson as a team is a conservative one. Can play like Crusaders against Australia, but can't play like that against France and Ireland. Yeah, look, I think Razor has found the being coaching the All Blacks a lot harder than he was expecting. Right? I don't think he's. But I do think your point there around being worried about what his employers think has definitely hampered him, and that's probably why he had a coach that has already left the system involved with him. I've got Scott Lynn McDonald, who was with the Blues. Look, two guys who should have known that they wouldn't be able to work together, but someone who was probably semi-forced. I think there was some kind of pointer saying, you really want this guy? He's done things well with the Blues. And then you look what's happened to the Blues since Vern Cotter's taken over, and they've gone on they've taken a big step forward, haven't they? Maybe there is that he's actually doing this with one hand tied behind his back. He's not actually doing it the way he wants to, the way he should. Now, whether that hand has been tied by somebody else or whether he's tying it himself, in the fact that he's not confident enough to go ahead and just do it his way and say sod them. I don't. I'm not sure. But to me it feels like he's found it much harder than he thought it was going to be, and he's not being him. He's holding himself back, or he's being held back, one or the other, and he's not allowing himself to do it his way, which is a real shame, because he's even brought in because he is the breakdance. The public have demanded him to be brought in because he is the breakdancing. I do things my way. I don't. I'm not hamstrung. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if New Zealand Rugby have gone, you know what, we don't like someone who does it his way. He has to do it the All Blacks way, and have said you can have it as long as you do this, and that might be part of the problem here. If you have noticed there, yes, Paul is putting it back on the administrators. He doesn't trust the administrators. No shit, Sherlock.
I agree. I feel like he's being held back. The thing is, that when I look at this All Black team, their performances, to me, player-wise, like for you, who has been, say, your top three All Blacks players throughout the England series into the Rugby Championship? Who your best three performing players, or even two or one or whatever? Who's really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, both sixes actually in Satisi and Blackadder have done as both. There, and again, one of those is the young guy coming through. Towards the end of the last couple of games, we've seen Will Jordan finally play well as well. Caleb Clark has really come back into it and is playing well. So I guess there you go. There's my three from that point of view. And it's not your backs that are the ones that win your games. It's your forwards, which is a problem. Actually, Topa Va'ai has been playing really well again in the last couple of games. But yeah,
on that though, you say Satiti, new player. If there wasn't those injuries, would have he even had a chance? Would have he got the chance if Blackadder went down? And would have we got the Kane Blackadder sort of combination in that back row? I think Vai's been amazing. We needed a lot to stand up. He stood up for sure. Again, young guy, but he probably would have been in that mix anyway. But Will Jordan, no one else had the ball spin him at fullback. He copped all that crap when he started in that first game. That's the thing that he took the plunge on at the start, didn't he? He said, when Will Jordan comes back, he's going to be my fullback. Two of those three.
But then he put him at wing.
Yeah, but he put him at fullback eventually.
put him at wing again until Bowden Barrett was sick, and that's the only reason he went. So he has been helped. But
Yes.
the decisions that you've looked at and gone, he's really nailed them, have been because Blackadder got injured, Bowden Barrett got sick, and Sevi Reese did a back, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, must put Clark in instead." Otherwise, we'd have had Talia and Reese in there, and Caleb Clark wouldn't have got to look in. So those three decisions, only one of those has been his actual decision. The other ones have been sickness and injuries.
If Foster was still in charge of the All Blacks, I don't think Will Jordan would have got that if all of them were sick. I think they would have gone someone else. They were adamant not to put Will Jordan at fullback. And selecting Satiti was the big one for me. That's a star. Like, how many more? That's what annoys me about picking older players who clearly aren't up to the task. How many more guys aren't getting the chance, to prove themselves? Ratuma starting a game, streaks ahead of Perenara. And at the time, you're like, oh dear, we're going in with two very inexperienced nines, and now we're going, it's like, geez, I want these two inexperienced nines to be starting all my games because they're the guys. Satiti, I want him in my back row starting. Vai, he's probably my number one lock now. Is Scott Barrett really our captain? Is he the guy up to the task? I honestly, at the start, I thought, yeah, he's the guy. What we saw from the Crusaders, I was like, yeah, he's the guy I can get behind. Now I'm like, he's been pretty average as a captain. I kind of feel he's not really the leader that I kind of saw from him in Super Rugby. Is he the guy for that task? Too late for that now, but we've learned a lot. I feel, and I do believe he's being hamstrung, but I do believe that the things he's tried have, over the time, come good, whether it be young players getting opportunities, movement of positions, or just those sort of things have worked. I just wish he would do more of that to find out, because you only get so long to find out, and then it's too late, and so there's a lot of other areas we need to find out about, and we just not got those, and a lot of young players who deserve chances. Ruben Love, for God's sake, get Ruben Love a chance, guys like that. Hey, you don't need a 37-year-old Bowden Barrett if you've got a 15 cap Ruben Love, and say, hey, he's actually pretty good at this level. That this is what this year's all about, and next year developing those guys.
And I think there have been too many sentimental or what appear from the outside,
for sure,
sentimental selections, right? TJ Perenara starting this game. Sam Cane getting his 100 caps. Even Harry Plummer. Why are you bringing him on 5 minutes at the end there? I mean, that seemed to me like we better get him on the pitch to get capped, because he may never get another chance again. Well, great for him, and well done for him. Look, he's somebody last year, people would have said he's nowhere near this. So he's come on leaps and bounds, and congratulations to him. This is not a comment about him. It's a comment about he's been put on to. It appears he's been put on to get his cap, because we must get him capped, and that, to me, you're supposed to be trying to win games. There seems to be too many things that are sentimental selections rather than. Now, maybe they're not. Maybe they've all got sound data behind them, but to me, it feels like they look the optics or the images that we got. He's making sentimental selections rather than stuff that's actually trying to win games.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, well, Nocturnal says there is 100% right. Yep, that they're always going to get Kane to that 100 caps, and yeah, it worked out perfectly, didn't it, for TJ to get his run on big final in Wellington? Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It looks good, but where's that next guy coming from?
Now, if you're going to put D-Mac to the bench, in some ways I can see you putting Ratama there, because then they come on together and they've played a lot together at the Chiefs. So I kind of, there is actually an element of it that you can see where you're trying to do combinations. TJ and Bowden used to play at the Hurricanes, so there are arguments for it. But the one that screams above all else is that it doesn't look like that's the reasoning. It looks like the reasoning is it's TJ's last game as an All Black in New Zealand on his home ground. He must start. Now, why he's even in the squad when he's not going to be playing next year? Same with Sam Cane. When you got the World Cup coming up and they're not going to be around for the Rugby World Cup. That, to me, if you go back to your Hansen era, he would be much more ruthless, and he would have cleared them out, in my opinion. Not that I'm always a great fan of Hansen. I think some of the ways he does things, some of the things that he said, such as offering to take a journalist out into the car park to have a fight, really is not the kind of behavior. Is not the right kind of behavior. But he would have been ruthless, I think, and those guys would not have been in the squad. Now, the only problem with your comment or your hopes that towards the end of the season, towards the end of this year, on the overseas tour, we're going to see Razor taking more of his style of team, is the games we've got coming up. Next game, the next international game that we've got, folks. So no more international games until the 10th of October, which is Japan. Actually, the All Blacks versus Japan in Japan. That's the only international game in October, according to the Tribe Sports app. Even though I'm sure Simon knows better than that does. Let's be honest. No, we're not seeing Simon in the live chat this evening, so I hope he's okay. So that game, clearly he can we could potentially see something happen there. The problem is, a week later they've got England and Twickenham. So will it be a total B team against Japan with all the A team heading out early to Europe, like we've seen before? And then after England, you've got Ireland and France. Not the kind of games that you're going to be wanting to experiment with. And then you've got the final game of the November tour against Italy on the 23rd. So only really one game really there that we can see him doing his own, sort of really taking control of things.
That team ain't been France and Ireland, but with their old grandpas. Why bother? Why bother to try and
damage limitation?
They're no better off.
But it's a conservative approach. We've seen him taking a conservative approach. It's safety first rather than let's go out there and win this.
No, but I agree. It has been very conservative. But to me, going with the team that played against South Africa, for example, it's not going to do you any better than trying things and finding out what's going to happen with mixing things up against the French or the Irish. It's going to make a slither of difference.
So the reviewer says there are 42 games in this end of year international games, according to Wikipedia, which is that's just nuts. I'll be honest with you, folks. We will not be keeping a track of all 42 games. We cannot. That's beyond me. So we'll try and keep you abreast of of most of them in that one.
Geez, Nocturnal's really throwing it into the fan there. Fihaki's not even. Look, that selection surprised me, and honestly, that selection screamed of, "Are we just going to play as he knows now?" Like, because Fihaki wasn't a very good Super Rugby player. He was all right. He didn't set the world on fire. I just don't believe he was the next best option. And being another Crusader just made me go, it's looking a bit bad now.
So, folks, as I say, no more rugby or no more international rugby for another 3 weeks. But we do have the final round of the NPC to talk about next week. Clearly, there'll be one or at least one reason for me to rant about how bad the administrators are of the game between now and then as well. So do join us again next Monday at 8 p.m. for that rant of why the administration of the game is so crap. And we'll also we've also had 2 Ranfurly Shield games to watch before then as well. So join us next week next Monday at 8 p.m. Thank you for joining me again, Cornflake. Happy birthday for last weekend. Just last comment is, whether Razor is conservative or not, we still could lose those 3 matches. So why not take a risk and build? That's Dennis in the live chat there.
We could. They will. That team will lose to France and Ireland.
Oh yeah, not England. Let's make it 3.
No, I said 2. England, hey, that's a 50-50. Take the chance, build the team. Look,
It shouldn't
it's
be
a
a
World Cup.
50-50.
Look, in 2027, when the World Cup's going on, who's going to go, oh, but remember back in 2024 when they played that, these young guys against France? No, who cares? Who did the All Blacks debut in 2017 against who knows who they played? No one cares. You then win a trophy.
Now, just a reminder, folks, of the All Blacks record since the turn of the century. If they do lose those two games against and I've not put in the latest round of games, but if they do lose the two games against Ireland and France, it will be the most losing game the All Blacks have had since the turn of the century. It'll be the worst season for the All Blacks since then, and that's potentially how Razor starts his career as an All Blacks coach. That is not what people were signing up for and clamoring for when they suggested he replaces Ian Foster.
But then when he wins the World Cup in 2027, it'll be fine.
If he survives until 2027 with losing 5 games in a year, which look, even
far away.
Even Razzie has lost 5 games in a year. Okay, folks. So let's just point out here how crazy that sounds. Right, Razzie has lost 5 games in a year, and Razzie has lost more than 5. Just trying to think which year he started. 2018. That was he all of 2018? I'm not sure. Razzie, yes. Well, he became head coach during 2018. Can't remember exactly when it was. Maybe he lost 7 games that year. If he came in at the beginning of the year or when it changed. But so Razzie has lost that many, and as you say, has won a couple of Rugby World Cups. Neymar, Razzie, they're the same person. So yes, but as I say, it might sound crazy, but the All Blacks have never lost 5 games in a year. So to me, there is a chance that Razor doesn't survive this year. Slim.
Your best performing players in an All Blacks jersey this year have been youth, have been inexperienced, and have been newcomers wholly to the side. Tamaiti Williams, probably your best prop, right? Amua needs thrown in the bin. Vai's been your best lock. Satiti's been your best back rower. Ratima's been your best 9. We don't have a 10. Just scrap those 2. Midfield, again, Billy Proctor's game against USA being the best, of a midfielder. Outside backs, sad thing, Caleb Clark's been your best. Okay, he doesn't really count. And fullbacks, Will Jordan. I mean, you take that pack. Hey, you say the All Blacks struggling in forwards. There's some good youth coming through there, man. There are some good youth. We just need to see more of Tossie and a little bit more from a new hooker as well. Would do me quite nicely. But yeah, I mean, come the end of the year, if they beat England, lose to France and Ireland, beat Italy, God, that would be the worst. If you go to the Northern Hemisphere, a 50-50 record, but you have, 10 guys that you've blooded through that series, I'm good with that.
So, the Nocturne says not since 1949 have the All Blacks lost 6 games in a season. Right now, in 1998, they lost 5 games on the bounce, losing to Australia, South Africa, South Africa to Australia. So 5 games on the bounce that year. So yeah, this is if the All Blacks lose to Ireland and France, this is the worst year since 1989. If they lose to England as well, it's the worst year since 1949. That and you're trying to say that he'll survive that?
Yeah, but
well,
yeah, yep.
Well, we will see. He probably will, but
it's different though, right? 2 away games against South Africa. What's the one game that they should have won was Argentina. Outside of Argentina, what game could you really have said? They probably should have won one of those games against South Africa. But you can go, it's South Africa and South Africa. I mean, I don't expect wins there. The Springboks are good. I mean, you're delusional if you think that they're not, right? Beat Australia twice, a shock loss to Argentina. Okay, that was bad. Beat England twice. They still beat them twice, right? Okay. I mean, you go just, but then just lost to South Africa. So, you just goes both ways. And then, hey, you lost to the 2 best Northern Hemisphere teams in their backyard.
we have to wait and see.
Number one, well, two.
It might not happen. I have to wait and see.
Mm.
The reviewer said Italy aren't that bad. I'm sorry,
Italy aren't that bad.
but Italy have never beaten the All Blacks. So hey,
never at Argentina a few years ago.
I know, but so yes, so Razor could do it. Could do a Foster and bring up a negative.
It'll be very much Liner and Ioane. Watch them.
Sorry,
Liner and Ioane.
Anyway, folks, have a wonderful week. Do stay safe. We will be back next Monday. And thank you, Cornflake, for coming back and joining us. I'm still not sure of your birthday last week. I still think it was Manawatu versus South.
I turned 21 again.
Again, yeah, right. Anyway, stay safe all.